can stop you from being deceived. If you try to find out what's up my sleeve, you can figure out what a bag of means. If you try, nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from nothing can stop you from being deceived. Nothing can stop you from being deceived.
And welcome back to the I Cut My Way Out podcast. I am at Kenneth Jenks, joined by my esteemed colleagues in podcasting. Ash, I fucked up, but what's your beard culture for?
Beard culture barber.
Beard culture barber 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and joined by former guest, now co-host, Ayo the Ace of Fades out of Mississippi.
What's
And
up?
Shy the Barber out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, by way of Chicago. Shy, you know I always ask, how long you been in Murfreesboro?
Man, entirely too long, bro. Entirely too long.
So,
I've been here long.
the reason why I ask, we say by way of Chicago. Have you ever had to pull your I'm from Chicago card down there?
My energy that I put out dictate what energy people bring to me. So I ain't never had to pull that card. If anything, it helps me make connections because people be from Chicago, but they'd be afraid to say it because it's such a negative relationship associated with being from Chicago. But that was kind of my premise with my shop, Studio 312 is
Right.
You see the 312 and you have a perception in your mind, and you come in here, you see leaders on the wall, and you get an experience that you didn't expect. So it's taking that negative and flipping it on its head. So I ain't never had to pull that card.
Okay. I give a bomb for that or a hand claps. That's man, you know, it's been a while. It's been a long time coming. We went live last week, had a great time, great feedback. So now we're just getting into the steak and potatoes of what we always had planned. You know, this is the I Come Away Out podcast. So everywhere where you can listen to podcasts, most notably YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, Pandora, everywhere where you can listen. If you put I Cut My Way Out podcast in Bing, Google, wherever, we will pop up number one. That's what we building. We are trying to make sure that algorithm comes straight back to us. Well, welcome all, gentlemen. How was your week? We'll start with you, Ash.
Man, it was good. It was good, man. In here grinding. Got some family things we're dealing with, but you know, to complain ain't gonna get me nowhere. So been grinding, man. Just getting to it. So everything's been good, man.
And Ayo, how's things going down there in the SIP, the cricket letter?
Man, everything going lovely, man. I can't complain about nothing. Had a real good week, you know. Busy, but a very good week.
And I last time we spoke, you were in Houston with the family, so I'm definitely assuming that, you know, was
I didn't get a chance. I didn't go. I kind of stayed back. I stayed home. We didn't make that move.
Oh, okay, my fault. And Shy, we'll catch you up. You ain't never had to pull the car, but how was your week?
It was good, man. My week was straight. I worked. My daughter been in the shop with me all week, so it's been a good week.
That speaks volumes of your shop. When your daughter can come and chill with you in the shop all week, that says a lot about the environment and atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that's a big importance, man.
My kid go to shop up.
Yeah, just moving right along. We've talked about a lot of things and what we're going to talk about. And I had an idea as a customer that's not a barber. I say that every episode. I'll continue to say that every episode. I think it's important because I don't want to be me to be misconstrued with the regular barbers, but I had wanted to get you all's opinion on just different things that you've learned in barbering, probably the early years once you got out of barber school, and what barber school didn't teach you, or what you didn't learn in barber school. And we can take this a whole lot of ways, but you can start.
I would like. No, one of y'all go ahead. I want to hear and just piggyback. We'll start with Shy. Let you go ahead and jump off, Shy. We'll just fill in.
I'm actually wholeheartedly interested in your experience in barber school, be it that it's that generational gap. So man, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat anticipating like what was that experience like back when barber, in my opinion, barbering culture was so much more impactful to the community. So I would assume that what they was teaching in school was different. You know what I mean? And you have more of those nose to the grindstone barbers, whereas now in me and AO generation, you got more of the quote unquote Hollywood barbers. So what they teach in school and how they form them lessons is different. Also, when you get out of school, how you apply what you taught is different. So I'm mad. Please take the floor, bro. We need to know.
And before, the reason why I was intrigued with this as far as the first episode was because I thought maybe, and I think it will once, I thought it would help the listeners get an insight on y'all roots as barbers, just coming from barber school to, your shop and kind of on that steady climb to where you are currently. And where you go.
And to be able to validate what it is that we're doing, not only giving information, but, experiences with dropping jewels, those experiences, they validate what it is that we're doing. For me, interestingly, so going to barber school, we stay in a smaller town. So I had to travel like an hour and 30 minutes every day to barber school. And no knock to the barber school because, the experience of going, I had a good time. But in terms of what I learned, it was interesting because the last actual podcast that we did before bringing you guys as co-hosts, we talked about a plethora of things. And one of the things is I had a question just about barber school. And Shy, you made a good point. He was like, for all intents and purposes, it's about them going to give you the paper, the piece of paper to get out there as a professional and then figure it out. And even though I think there should be more involved, right? I went and it ran like a barbershop. And the interesting part is that there was a lady who was there and her father inherited the shop. So he was an older gentleman. So during the winter months, he and his wife actually were in Florida, right? Because he had oxygen and everything. And so she was a licensed cosmetologist, but we're in Peoria, Illinois on the south end. So we're in the hood. And this is a white woman, who to some degree could relate, you know what I mean? But she didn't cut. So she had a lady who was a cosmetologist and a barber who was from Peoria, but she had traveled, she had went to cosmetology school in DC, so on and so forth. And so it was ran basically, to be honest, as a barbershop. You come in, the first day we got there, for me, one of my homeboys went, he hadn't cut hair in years. So we get there and they immediately put you on the floor. It wasn't like, okay, book work, so on and so forth. It ran like a barbershop. And so in terms of the studying and the knowledge base for me, I was, even though I was removed from school for a while, I wasn't as far removed as my buddy was because he's older than me, right? Also, I worked in a school atmosphere. So I worked with children. So I worked in an academic setting. So for me, going in, it gave me the repetition, dealing with all kinds of hair. but you're living, you know, you got the people who live in the community. So because it's the South End of Peoria, there was a lot of violence, so you didn't have a lot of Caucasian people or people of other ethnicities coming to the shop. So I was accustomed to cutting our hair, but, you know, I got, you know, few jewels and gems, but it was just repetition, right? So for me, my experience was something when being this generation that you speak of, I didn't want my son to go through the same thing. We didn't deal with shear cutting. We didn't deal with any of that, right? So for me to learn certain aspects, it was important that I was hungry to learn. So when I got out, I'm looking at one hustle kind of replacing another. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing some things to take care of the family. I'm like, okay, I had a couple of homeboys that were barbers. One in particular gave me the information to the barber college to go to, you know, so I called because that was the closest one outside of going to Chicago. There was nothing in central Illinois. So it was treated like a hustle for it. So when I come out, that was kind of the mentality, if you will. To be honest, I enjoyed cutting hair, but I didn't fall in love with the process until 2019 when I went to Bronner Brothers for the first time, right?
Really?
I swear, bro, because in my town where I'm from, nobody ever, like, you had the barbershops, people didn't take it seriously. It was like a hustle. So we didn't team up, we didn't go to barber shows. You didn't see the other side and what this thing could be. And because the generations were spaced out, so one of our podcasts, we had an older gentleman that was part owner of a barbershop that my uncle worked in, and he and my uncle worked for 23 years. But the gap was so large that they were considered the old school barbers. So by the time you hit, you know, teenage years, and we had another young barbershop open, now that's where everybody from the hood and all the brothers, that was the popping barbershop, the designs and all that stuff. But everything was a hustle. You could go in there, you could buy the chair, you know. One of my best friends was a barber, love him to death, and he passed away, God rest his soul. He was one of the coldest barbers in town. When he hit his peak at a young age, he was the coldest barber in town, but he had no professionalism because he had no mentorship. It was like, man, this is how I get money. It's a hustle. There was nothing serious about it. So even though I've been cutting hair for a long time, it was like I get off work, I got a barber shop built off my garage. I would go in, I get to it, you know what I'm saying? And I made forward progress. I got better, but I didn't fall in love with it and its possibilities until I went to Bronner Brothers. And then I'm like, okay, this is something, because there was no mentorship to show me that I could feed my family and that this could go so many other places. It's almost like when I was coming up hooping, and y'all might be able to relate to this, everybody wants to be an NBA player. Well, I was a 5'9" point guard. I was cool for where I lived. I was all area, all conference, all that. But I didn't shoot like Steph and I didn't jump out the gym. But early on, nobody told me that, hey, you could be a coach. You could be an athletic trainer. You could develop, you know, you could be a one-on-one skills developer. You know, you can do so many things. There's front office management. Nobody ever told me that these other aspects existed, even though you know that they exist, but it's like a one-track mind because nobody's telling you, right? So for me, barbering was the same thing. It allowed me as a husband, you know, who has a wife and 6 children, to be able to do extra. We wanted to go out to eat, some extra bills, keep extra money, buy shoes when my kids were playing sports. It was that type of thing. I wasn't taking that money and throwing it back and saving it. And now I look, I'm like, man, if I would have just took $300-400 a month and just put that away for all the years that I was cutting, I'd be sitting on a nice nest egg. But I didn't have that around, and we didn't have the Hollywood aspect to where you could see. So now when I'm able to go onto social media during that time before I went to Bronner Brothers, Now I'm seeing all these guys that I'm following in the flesh. So a lot of these guys, I'm older than, but I'm like a kid in a candy store, bro, because I'm looking like, man, I'm trying to find out what my purpose. I'm going through anxiety and depression with my job. I done went back to college, got my degree, thought that was the lit, and it wasn't the lit for me. And I used to have a buddy who always tell me, like, bro, you ain't meant to work 9 to 5 for nobody else. That ain't what you meant to do. So while I'm older and it's from another generation, to be honest, I feel like the barber school that I attended, no pun intended, really didn't teach me anything, a few pointers here and there, but it was about getting the paper. And now the legality part was correct. And now that I was legal, I could chase it however it came. And it just kind of came into play.
That's interesting, man. I wouldn't expect that your experience, be it that it came in the generation before, because like I always tell people, I'm extremely green to barbering, to the sense that I've only been doing this, I'm closing in on 4 years. And most people hit that and be like, bro, you ain't no barber, you still a baby barber. And in a lot of sense, I am. But it's interesting to hear that from your perspective, somebody that's been around and been in the game for a while. And it sounds like your experience and mine are a lot similar, believe it or not. And it's one of those things, and Ayo saying it's a lot similar to his. When you talk to guys, young, old, or indifferent, it's the same. It seems like the barber school experience is the same. And every now and again, you'll find those rare jewels where the schools are built and designed and the curriculum is designed by guys who are already established barbers. Like it's a school out here out in Nashville, Hunt Barber Academy.
Okay.
This dude Hunt, man, he come from, I want to say Jackson, Tennessee. He one of the biggest barbers in the Tennessee period, right? At least in the Nashville and surrounding areas, I'll say that, right? Because it's a lot of guys doing their thing in Memphis too, but he one of the biggest barbers that I know personally. And he established his shop, he established his name. He was one of the first barbers to come to this side of Tennessee and introduce the enhancement, kind of mastering the use of enhancements, where he's one of them guys like Ayo. Ayo uses enhancements, and if you don't know, you wouldn't really know it's enhancements in them haircuts. Like in the line and nothing, you wouldn't know because he's mastered how to use them. He know how to use them enhancements and blend it where it's natural. Well, Hunt was one of the first guys that I ever seen on social media do that in Tennessee. And he built all that up.
I learned a lot of it from him. Like I've been following him from early on. Like I watched his whole growth too. So I learned a lot. Like he's a big influence on some of that thing. Like I learned a few little tips and tricks from him just watching him. Like just watching. He give you the game. He show it to you. He show you. He keep it raw.
A good dude. That's how he is in person, though, man. He one of them guys where if you talk to him, he'll give you the game. He won't hold back nothing. These chairs I'm in, these chairs came through him. Okay. Understanding how to establish my shop and how to establish what I wanted to do. I reached out to him and got a lot of counsel from him. I reached out to you, Ash, and got a lot of counsel from you. So I say all that to go back to this point, right? He built all of that, and then he opened a school next door to his shop. And I've been to this school. I went and I spoke with the students briefly just to, talk to them about the importance of social media and networking. And the one thing that I saw in that school that blew my mind, it wasn't just the student count, because when you come from a school that don't have a lot of curriculum and they don't have any structure, you're going to get who's there when they there, because people, they treat it like you said, like a barbershop. That's school is where you start them bad behaviors of not coming to work, not staying all day, getting up and leaving when it ain't busy, because if they run it like a barbershop, they almost setting you up to fail. But when I went to this school, every chair had a student behind it. When I went to this school and was talking to them and asking questions, it was a lot that they didn't know, but it was a lot that they were being prepared for. He has his whole school. Every student in his school has already started a business plan. That wasn't even heard of in my school. I learned about business plans doing research myself after I reached out to you and figured, you know what, it would probably be good to have one if it's something that I want to move forward into. He's already teaching his students how to write business plans. They've already started it. He's already teaching his students beyond the haircut. His focus is how to format the business and get to the position of ownership with a understudy. and how to be a professional barber. And it's when you find them jewels, it's amazing. But that wasn't my experience in school. I had a lot of great things about my school, but I had a lot of things about my school that was very similar to your experience.
L, you got any barber school chronicle?
Yeah, for sure. Like mine was similar. Mine was similar to y'all guys in an aspect, but like the where I went to school at, the guy, he a legend. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like in Mississippi, like his name is you can go anywhere. And you know, if it's an older barber, they gonna know him for sure. Like he's a big pillar in his community, like he's a big leader in his community, like he does a lot of great things for the community. Like his shop is historic. Like every kid in the community, every youth from adults, people older than me, you know, they like his shop is in their childhood or their child's childhood or something, you know what I'm saying? Like he played a major role in this town, you know. And like when I went to barber school, like I had already, I'm not gonna say I had mastered barbering, but I had a lot of experience. Like I got my repetition and my teaching from just being in the kitchen, just cutting in the kitchen, cutting in the house. Like I turned my parents' house, like I turned the dining room side of the kitchen. You would walk in, it looked like a barbershop. Like one side looked like a barbershop, you know, until it was time for Thanksgiving or something like that. You know, I would get everything out the way. But outside of that, it was like I had the lights, I had a full station and chairs. Like you would have thought it was a barbershop on that side of on the dining room side of the kitchen. But yeah, but when I went to barber school, like he taught me how to be a man, like not like a man of your word, man of your business. Like be serious about your business. If you're gonna pursue it. Don't play. Like he taught me not to just treat it like a hustle, because if you treat it like a hustle, like you treat it like that's all you. Like you're not gonna get nothing out of it, you know. When I ain't gonna say get nothing out of it, but like you focused on the money, because he's telling me like the money gonna come, you know what I'm saying? I already had like I had developed a passion for it like early on, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of, once I got there, like my name had already been ringing, because I was cutting his nephews, his son had been coming to me and everything, coming to my house to get his haircut. So it was kind of like my name had already been ringing. So once I finally got there, he was like, by the time you get here, I ain't think you was gonna never, you know what I'm saying? I ain't think you was gonna never come, you know. So once I you know, realized like this is serious for me, like this is, you know, I can really do something with this. Like I love to do it, you know, I can't stop thinking about it. So it's like you know, my grandfather had told me one day, he was like, man, why you just won't go to school, man? Go to barber school. Like you might as well go, like you obviously great at it, son. Like just go to barber school. So I enrolled, you know, and like I said, he made sure I was locked in when it came to knowing the book, knowing how to like customer service, you know, your sanitation, like all that. Because like his station, he would just be done cut 5 or 6 head, but it looked like it was just as clean as it was when he first started, you know, and y'all know how hard that is. You know, you get the rolling, get the cutting head, it's hard to keep your station together. I'm talking about his station. You would walk by his station, you'd be like, man, how is his stuff this clean? Like I'm talking about, like it looked like you could take a picture of it every time you walk by. You know what I'm saying? And he was a great mentor, and I still go by there to this day. Like if I'm off or I'm making some moves, I go stop by and holler at him for sure. And like he always be happy to see me. You know, I always be happy to see him, because like I owe him a lot when it comes to it, because like he always kept me on the straight path. You know, me and him he always cracked this joke when we be there. He only got on to me one time, like on Saturdays it closes at 12, you know, because his house is actually across the street from the barber school. So he be like, hey, I gotta go home, you know what I'm saying? So I got stuff I be having to do. So at 12, you know, you need to be wrapping it up. You know, you shouldn't be 11:50, you still taking folks, you know what I'm saying? You should be wrapping it up. So one day it was about 12:30, 12:45. I had probably about 4 or 5 people left. He called me. He was like, hey, like we need to talk about this. You know, we chopped it up about it. Had no more problem out of it ever since. Like he always made sure, like he taught me how to like make people respect your time just as well as they want you to respect theirs. Because people will try to make you feel obligated to, like, hey man, I need a haircut. Like I need you to stay here to cut my hair. You know what I'm saying? People will make you feel that way if you can get caught up in cutting and get caught up into it, and you like, before you know, you I supposed to live here at 4 or 5, and next thing I know, it's 7:30. I'm still here taking heads, And they taught me that early on. But
man, that's y'all the barber. Y'all got to do that, especially on a Saturday. We got to be fly for the.
Nah,
I used to do that. Don't get me wrong. I used to cut. I'm talking about all day now. I'm finna enjoy my day.
So for me, in terms of the generation gap, right? That's the biggest thing because I'll never forget. I went and joined a shop that one of my best friends that I told you guys about. He was cutting in. He the man. So I'm trying to get in where I fit in. I don't went from being a hooper, and that's how everybody know me. Now I'm cutting hair. So I got people coming in, questioning, man, I know you hoop, I didn't know you cut hair. So now it's like a grind. You're there every day. And what I did have early on is I did have a decent amount of discipline to stay the course. I wouldn't just get up and leave. But what might happen is the barbershop closed at 6. Somebody walked through the door at 5:59. I got a wife and kids at home. So now it started to be a conflict on top of the fact if you got kids doing something, if they're in any events or anything, you're in a situation now, you're indebted to that money and to that booth rent, right? So now this generation also, with the booksy and things of that nature, it allows you to be able to plan your day, see what your week is going to look like, not only as clients, but money-wise. And so this whole new generation, even though I went to school back in 99, the way things run now, and that's why I call it the golden era of barbering, and it's all about timing because a lot of guys my age here, they've been cutting full time for almost 30 years. So now you got guys burning out. So I'm looking at these young guys, and sometimes when you got older guys, right? Like one of my coworkers when we went to Barber Brothers, that was his first time, and he'd been cutting for 30 years. So he was like, man, they ain't doing nothing much different than we do. But I'm watching the grind, I'm watching the networking, and I'm watching the small things. You know what I mean? And so once you get to the point where you have the skill, the details and the small things is what starts to put people over top. So for me, I didn't have a lot of self-esteem and confidence in my ability to have people, man, you can cut. And I didn't feel like that for a long, man, it probably took me 15 years to get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Which was crazy. But now, me being here in my town, it hit me in 2019. Now I'm watching the younger generation and y'all inspire me. And I'm not too proud. I'm watching, for me, and everybody, chest poked out because it's a brotherhood. So I feel like it's 3 barbers here now permanently, and this is what we're doing. But I feel like I'm the 3rd best barber, and I ain't got no problem with that. But if you sit in my chair, I'm going to get you right. But with that being said, watching y'all will continue to give me something to aspire to do because I'll always be a student. You can never be too good. I ain't never seen a barber that lace everything that come out of shop every day because sometimes you in those modes, just like hooping, it ain't always your best day. You know what I'm saying? You come in, you might be having something going on, but once I got to see the new generation and go to Brown Brothers and see that it's not a hustle, it's a career, and now people are making more money cutting hair than they've ever made in just the hair industry as a whole is making more money than it's ever done. Had it in the past. I'm like, man, it's all about timing. God gave me the ambition, the motivation, and the passion at just the right time. To be honest with you, I'm glad that I wasn't in love with it 15 years ago because right now I may be burnt out. You know what I'm saying?
I was just going to say that's one thing that I'm grateful for with the newer generation and how barbering has changed. The whole approach to barbering as a business changed. Because think about it like this. if the barbershop functioned the same way it did 20 or 30 years ago, where there wasn't appointments or, you come in as a walk-in and you just sit and wait and you socialize, it's great for social growth or whatever, right? It's great. Like AO said, you'll be one of them barbers in the community where you are a pillar of the community because you spend so much time with the people in that community. But if barbers still function that same way, how many opportunities will barbers be able to take advantage of outside of the barbershop if you was tethered to the chair, for lack of better words? I think being able to set appointments and predict your day and take back some of your time as an individual, not just as a barber, but that gives you the ability to seize some of these new opportunities as they present themselves. Because like with this right now, if me and AO was walk-in barbers, there's no way we would be able to seize this opportunity because we just wouldn't have time for it. We wouldn't be able to do it because all our time that we use at the barbershop, the only thing that's remaining is time with the family. So now you got to ask yourself, do I sacrifice more time away from my family in order to pursue something that I want for myself? And for me, I'm extremely grateful for it because it helped me create balance. When I first started cutting, wasn't no balance, bro. I was cutting. As long as you was coming, I was cutting. And it was to the point where the guy in my school, the owner of the school, Michael Davis, Mike got tired of waiting for me. So he gave me a key to the school and said, look, man, just close it down when you're done. I trust you enough and I respect you enough to know that you're not going to let nothing happen to my school. So just close it down when you're done. But when he did that, bro, I was in there. School closed at 5. I'd be in there to 9, 10, 11 until I stopped cutting hair.
But you know what, though? And with the younger guys coming into the game have to realize that part of the game is necessary.
It is.
Because it allows you, because there's levels to this, like there's levels to everything else. I remember sitting, waiting on people to come. Now, like Suge said, sometimes, man, when there's a cancellation, I'm like, let me just sit here and watch TV for a minute. You know what I'm saying? so
time to lean, it's time to clean, my boy.
It's levels, and that's the beautiful thing because it allows that growth. You're willing to grind until you get to that level where you can call the shots because there has to be some balance. And, early on, I didn't recognize, but you don't know. We're the plug for everybody. So you have people coming in, man, come on, get me in. I had a dude call who wasn't from this area. And he hit me when he was in town. He was like, man, y'all don't have no body chair. I'm like, nah, bro, I appreciate it, but nah, man, you can't buy the chair. That's not how we function. You know what I mean? But it's like once you create that demand, now you still have to respect your clients because they made you who you are. Like your skill level and things you do, but without clients, you can't be AO the ace of spades, and you can't be shot the bar, right? It allows you to create that balance. So I think we've all been to that point where you cut hair all night, but now it's like, okay, time's different. We got the books and we got, man, I'm not getting ready to be in here till no 9 o'clock. I'm going home and I'm chilling with the wife. I'm going to eat. And ultimately, I think, in my personal opinion, like that's really what ended up taking my homeboy out because he didn't have any balance. When he was at the shop, he cut hard, he partied hard, and he ate like garbage. And there was no balance. You know what I mean? And he had high blood pressure, and as a result, he ended up dying at 18 days short of turning 32.
Yeah, that rockstar barber life isn't long term. It's like a low carb diet, man. It's not meant to be long term. One thing that I would say, cutting them long nights like that, it should be used as, and what I used it as, it was training wheels. Because what happens is it put down a solid foundation where I know within me I have the work ethic to do whatever I need to do to be productive when I need to. I know I can stand up and cut for 10 to 12 hours and my last cut be as nice as my first cut. So when I get them holiday rushes in the shop, I had the grit to be able to stand behind that chair and ride it out. But I think for me, I needed to be shaped that way because I didn't have that structure going into barber. So going through that kind of that trial by fire shaped me to have that grit. So now when a younger guy's in the shop cutting next to me and they ready to cut out or take an extra long lunch or come in late, they got to keep coming in and seeing like, man, he here before I get here. He working through his lunch. He's staying for that last head. And on Saturdays, his chair is rolling on Saturdays. How is he doing that? Well, what happens is that creates interest, and eventually they'll start to break some of them bad habits so that they can walk in line with examples that you show them. And it's not to make anybody different, but it's just with anything in life, man. If you want more, you got to reach for more. You can't want more and not expect to do more.
No doubt.
Man, I wish. So with me as a customer, I graduated college in 2000. I started my first full-time job at 22, 23. So I was working 40-hour weeks at 23. So I didn't have that. I never had that. Can you get me in it? Like for me, and I'm going somewhere with this. For me, the whole appointment thing always worked for me, but I wish just for the sake of podcasting, I was one of them guys that wanted to buy the chair, wanted you to get me in, you know what I'm saying? Because, I don't know about Walmart where y'all stay. It used to be open 24 hours, but Walmart here closed at 11. But if I need something and it's 10:55 and that sliding door open, you better let me in. I need to get my thing. You better not close at the register. So,
I mean, but it's a respect to that, though. I mean, at the same time, I can understand both sides of it because all of us at one point, we was clients too, nobody came into this world with clippers in their hand. You know what I mean? At some point, you was a client to somebody. And for me, I understand both sides of that coin because as a client, my life may not be as ordered as yours, right? The things that's going on in my life may not give me the opportunity to book an appointment and be able to be there for that appointment and see that kind of predictability in my future. I may be only able to come to the shop when I'm able to come to the shop. And in addition to that, that may have been all I've known as far as barbershops and how they function up until I met you who do appointments. So I get it. I totally understand it. But that's where every client isn't for every barber and every barber isn't for every client comes into play. So if you're a client that need that ability to come in last minute or you need that ability to come in and socialize for a while before your cut, there's a barber for you. It is. It always will be. But if you're a client like yourself or like yourself when you was a young man where you got a structured 40-hour week, you got a family to get back home to, you need to be able to predict your time. I need to be able to say my appointment is at 4. Latest I'm going to be in the chair is 4:15. Latest I'm going to be in the shop is 5:30. Though that works better for some people. And for me personally, that works better for me. So that's the client that I'm trying to appeal to. Now, don't get me wrong. My net is big. So I still cast the net that catch the clients that want to come in and, like you said, try to buy the chair or skip the line or come in last minute. And I offer those services. I do. But it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Ayo, I wanted you to continue because you had a very fascinating barber school story with your instructor, and I took it as like he really gave you a lot of game. Let's transition to your first shop, and can you just kind of continue telling your experience into your first shop, armed with all that knowledge and wisdom that your instructor gave you? And so to really sum it up, so you go into a shop, you still like one, a role player, maybe a starter, but you ain't Steph, from a basketball analogy. But you done.
I ain't gonna lie. I was still.
Right, he was Steph coming out of school, but he was Steph going into school.
Yeah, I was still out of school. Like I was crazy as time. I had people coming in and out the house like it was like it was a barbershop. Like people would pass by my people's crib and they calling like, hey, is everything okay? Like, like in the South, like if you see a lot of cars over at somebody's house on a random day, you think somebody died or something, like something going on.
Yeah.
So people were calling like, hey, is everything good? I'm like, that boy just in there handling business, you know what I'm saying? So that I've been putting on for a long time, and I just really like I just really transitioned to appointments probably. I don't think it has been 2 years. Like it'll be 2 years in, I'm gonna say August and September. It'll be 2 years. So I was on the walk-in game hard. You know what I'm saying? Like that was something that, and I ain't gonna lie, when I was doing walk-ins like that, like people come in like, hey man, whoop the whoop I got this and that for the church. I got this and that for next. You next. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was on. But as I got older into the game, it was like, where your loyalty at this point? You know what I'm saying? Because like I ain't want people to think, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I have a lot of respect for people. So I feel like if you took the time out to go and book and plan your day around this appointment, plan your, you know what I'm saying, around this cut. A lot of my people pay me up front. So I'm not gonna play with their time. I can't afford to play with their time. And I have days though where I do, but it's like Shy said, it's gonna cost you. It's not gonna be no, like, you're not gonna pay $20 to $40 plus the cut. It's not, it's gonna be, you're gonna have to come with something. You're gonna have to make me smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to change my mind. You ain't gonna just come in there and be like, hey man, I got $75. That man just paid it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna have to come with, you know what I'm saying? But I done did it all though. I done did from like, I done house call, like I did that like back on, like behind me a little bit. So it's kind of like Shy said earlier, it kind of conditioned me to know, like, okay, when it's time to holiday cuts or, you know what I'm saying, big time, big days, like I do it with a breeze. Cause like I used to 20, 25 heads a day. Like I'm talking about waking up at 5 I'm at the shop 4:50, unlocking the door, you know what I'm saying? I'm leaving at 7:30, 8 o'clock, you know what I'm saying? Been there all day, probably took a lunch that was 30, 35 minutes long, and I'm rolling all day. So I had did that for probably about, I was doing that and I was working a full-time job at one point. Like before I went to barber school, I was working a job and I was still cutting hair on the side. So once I got to barber school, you know what I'm saying, I was cutting in barber school, working a full-time job, and cutting at home. So I done did it to the point where it's like my grind, it conditioned me to where like, okay, appointments, it's like, man, it's like I ain't doing enough today. Like, you know what I'm saying? After I done been here, spend a lot of my time, but I really love to do this though. Like when you love to do it, like, don't, like, to me, I don't really, I mean, I call it work. They be like, where you finna go? Like, I'm headed to work, but it's really not, it don't look like that to me. Like it don't appear as a job to me, because like this is something I really love to do. So every day I can find something that can make me propel to do it higher and higher every day, because I find the smallest thing I'm gonna work on this today. I'm gonna work on this today. And then seeing some of the stuff y'all be doing too, I be like, you know what? I'm finna try what Shy did today. You know what I'm saying? I'm finna do this. I'm finna do that today. And it just be stuff like that keep me into it. But like for a walk-in though, I do not miss it. I do not. Like now I don't,
Right.
And I'm all about quality over quantity. Like for real. Back then I didn't understand it. I would have got it was like you gonna be at the shop? How long you, man? I'm here till I can't stand up. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it was. But my instructor told me though, he used to tell me, and I'm gonna shout him out. Shout out to Mr. Joe Milton Logan, like Mr. Joe Logan, like, man, legend. Like you come around here in this surrounding area, you mention his name, they're gonna point you in his direction. He got that much respect. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody know him.
My question, because if because that's what I was going with my question, as far as just coming out of school with a legendary instructor. I would imagine if you were under this, your instructor's tutelage, senior barbers or barbershop owners that when you decide to go work in there, if they know that you come from, if you're a product of this guy's school, that you can just hit the ground running? Or did you have an arrogant or egotistical first shop owner that wanted to just act like he was giving you the game, like you didn't already have it from a legendary barber instructor? You understand what I'm trying to ask?
Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I already, like, and I hate to say this, but I just gotta be like, it's a lot of great barbers around here. But me personally, I don't think I never met they wasn't never arrogant. They was really excited to have me there because they knew what type of environment I had done. Like, I was gonna bring a great environment. Like, I learned from my instructor. Like, he taught me everything. Like, he taught me how to control your environment, control your crowd, be able to control your crowd. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have too like I had already had that discipline from being in that, because he was straightforward. Like, he was real straightforward. Like I said, he made you respect your time. He made you respect his time. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't gonna take up for the nonsense. Like, you're not finna be in here cursing. You're not finna be, you gonna act like somebody. You know what I'm saying? So wherever I went, like, if they knew you went to there, they know you went there. They already knew you had some type of, you had a lot of structure, because you wasn't gonna make it there if you didn't at all.
That was some down.
So that makes me curious though, because you come from, like you said, the guy, what was his name? Joe Mitchell?
Joe Milton. Was Joe Logan. I think his middle name may be Milton, so they call him Joe Milton. But his name is Joe Logan.
Coming from that background of Joe and what he brought to the table, and the fact that you already had pretty much the dynamic of barbering down packed before you went to school, what was some of your obstacles and struggles when you came out of school going into a shop?
My biggest obstacle, you said coming out of school going to a shop?
Yeah.
I really didn't have too many obstacles, because I basically was running the barbershop from my house. I had no problems with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, like, I'm well respected where I'm from. So everybody knew that, so they knew what I was about. So it was kind of like the guys that I work with, man, we were like brothers. You know what I'm saying? I have no ill will against them to this day. Like, we still keep in contact. I still chop it up with them. You know what I'm saying? We still cool. When I see them, we still dap it up, reminisce, good, great guys, man. You know what I'm saying? And I spent majority of my early in my career with these guys, and like, man, it real good times. Like, nothing but good time, nothing but good memories. We brothers.
That's what's up, man. It's a lot of guys who come out of school that don't have that.
Sure. Let me ask this. I know I went through a phase, and I don't know any barber that hasn't went through the phase. So with you coming out, you was on your step. You was on your LeBron. I ain't gonna call it step. You was number one in the draft. You came out, everybody knew you. So what about money management at that time? Since you had all these heads flowing through, and you was getting to this money, were you good at managing money at an early age, or did that come with time?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. Like I'm gonna tell you something. I'm cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I say I'm cheap, like I ain't the type that's gonna go out and just blow money. Like even with clippers, you don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I like having nice clippers. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get my money worth out of some clippers. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to show me you can't perform today for me to go replace you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the type that's gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna go buy these. You know what I'm saying? I manage my money very well. Like I'm not a big spender. You know what I'm saying? Never was, never been that. You know what I'm saying? I like what I like. I like nice things, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not finna, like, that's one thing I always been taught. Like, it's not about how much money you can make. It's always about how much money you can save. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you never know. You know what I'm saying? You never know what can happen. I was taught that young. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of people think I'm cheap. You know what I'm saying? That's because I'm real tight with money. You know what I'm saying? So I always, like, when I was cutting, I would just save.
What about you, Shy?
Oh, I ain't making no money, man. I'm super tight, bro. Listen, okay. I do it by hand. If I could repurpose, I repurpose. My station's repurposed, the mirrors repurposed, the lights I got off Facebook Marketplace. Like, I'm bro. Like, my money management was decent though, because I had a family before I got into barber school. So I had to have some sort of money management to be able to be a husband, to be a father, and take care of life. Life be life, So when I got into the barbershop, I would say one thing though that was difficult. Once I got into a barbershop coming out of barber school, the money was different. Because when I was in barber school, all them cuts are free. You're not getting paid for them haircuts. You you get a tip. You're lucky if you get a tip, but the cost of the haircut was $5. And 100% of that $5 went to the school. So I was working for tips. So when I would leave the barbershop on a week and make leave the barber school on a week and make $100, man, you wouldn't understand how much joy that brought me. So it always put me in a point of being grateful for the small things, because, you know, making $100 in a week was huge for me. You know what I mean? Because when I started, I wasn't making that at all. You know what I mean? I was working a full-time job, going to barber school, and I was more excited about seeing my ability to cut hair improve. So the difference came when I got into a barbershop, and now you're getting paid for haircuts. And it's like, man, okay, well, I didn't work a full-time job, plus I done made however much money I made this week in a barbershop. It's tempting to be reckless with that money and just throw it back out and throw it into nothing. But for me, I didn't really suffer from that, because I always had a family to take care of. I always had responsibilities that dictated how I moved with money.
No doubt. So I have a question. Being that we shared our experiences in barber school, I know my experience, you know, I loved it, but you know, the experience, because they were very cool people, but I realized when I came out, I lacked a lot. Now, you know, we've all grown in our respective locations, and we're doing our thing. Because we're giving these gyms, and just for youngins and just people who are interested in barbering. In you guys' opinion, what does it take to be a successful barber?
What does it take to be a successful barber?
Successful barber.
Successful. I'm gonna tell. I'm like, to me, we can say so much, but to me, out of all the things you can say, the most thing is gonna take consistency and patience. Out of all things, it's like if you're not consistent in anything, especially in this business, you're gonna flop. You got to be patient as well, because like a lot of people like think stuff like social media make you think stuff happens overnight. Like you would think that things happen overnight. Like it'll give you that impression, you know. And if you're not able to see through the silver line, if you're not able to see past everything, you would think that. You would think that, but when you reach down and you talk to, you get a understanding, you will realize like these people had to be patient. These people had to be real patient. They had to be real consistent at what they did to get to where they at. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people think that a lot of things, you know, just boom. You know what I'm saying? I can jump to like today and tomorrow I'll be doing this. It's just like I'll be using this tomorrow. When I go back to the school and I talk sometimes, like I try to tell people like don't rush into enhancements. Don't rush into it. Like a lot of people be rushing into enhancements. Like you can't rush into that. Like that stuff comes with time. It comes with like you can't be throwing enhancement on somebody you ain't mastered the art of blending and fading. Like it comes with being patient. You know what I'm saying? You can easily. I just started cutting last week, and I'm already trying to put some enhancement. No, you can't do that. You know you can't. You gotta be patient. You gotta work your way. And like I didn't, like y'all won't believe it. Like I haven't been using enhancement that long. I haven't been using enhancement like I cut natural for a long time. I didn't start using enhancement probably to like man, I cut years with no enhancement. You know what I'm saying? Like when I started using, like we were probably using the spray in the can. Like we were using that. Like we wouldn't like when I seen the airbrush gun, I was like, oh my God, these folks done snapped out. Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying?
I remember the first time I seen somebody shaking the can, bro. I'm sitting in the barbershop as a clown waiting for a haircut. And I hear it sound like a rattle can.
Yeah.
And he stood back, he said, close your eyes, man.
Yeah.
I said, what the fuck is that? Hey, what part of the game is that, bro?
For real, that's how it was though, because I didn't know too much about. I mean, I ain't gonna say I didn't know, but now that you see it was going on so much, you just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because you would see a cut in the magazine. Like I used to look at the magazine. What was it called? The Some Gold magazine.
Yeah.
The Barber magazine. I forgot the name of it.
I don't
Remember,
it's something with gold.
Yeah.
Oh man, they probably gonna kill me about this, but anyway, it's a iconic magazine. Everybody used to look at. It used to always be in the barbershop. You used to look at some of them because you be like, man, how did they get this like? How is this line up like this? Like how that was using it back then? You just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Unless you was just at a hair show or you went and seen a battle or you went, you witnessed it. You know what I'm saying? Like especially in Atlanta, like a lot of this stuff was already out before it made its way.
You know, the first place I heard of enhancements being used was Philadelphia. Matter of fact, it's a barber, her and her, the Clipper Cut Queen, and her husband opened up some barbershops on the East Coast. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen the chromatone spray. They were some of the first barbers that actually made their own product. And was using it as an enhancement. Man, that was probably about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. That was around the time like you said, like I didn't know nothing about it at that time. I was just, like I said, I was trying to perfect it with nothing. You know what I'm saying? But once I started seeing it and I started dipping and dabbing in it,
right,
it's business now.
So Shy, what's your opinion? What does it take to be a great barber?
Honestly, AO hit that nail right on the head, man. Consistency and patience. Because you, like you said, man, you got to build down you got to build your foundation solid. Like he said, for him, he was building his foundation solid before he even knew what he was doing. Cutting hair without enhancements, trying to perfect an enhanced look without knowing that enhancements exist, was building, laying bricks on his foundation. So when he was able to discover enhancements, he had already perfected the craft. So now he's just adding to what he's already perfected. So I would agree with him, man. If you're a young barber and you want to be a good barber or be a great barber, all great barbers have that in common. They consistent and they patient. And, they take advantages of opportunities, even if it's not for monetary gain.
Right.
Understand that every door you open won't be a door that benefits your pockets. A lot of them doors you open gonna be beneficial to your being wealthy in people.
Right.
I can't preach that enough. Be wealthy in people, and you won't have to worry about finance.
No doubt. I also think, to add to you guys, I think those are very, very, very important points, because that's the basis of it. Because if you can't cut, you don't gain skill, and that consistency. You can't be a barber. It takes patience to get to that point. Like I said earlier, I'll always be a student. I'm always learning. That's big for me. But I also think, especially with the social media era, that we don't take enough pride, because it doesn't showcase a lot of that in professionalism and customer service. And that's something, Sky, you mentioned earlier, just with the restaurants. It drives me crazy. I'm old school like that. And I've always been a people's person. So how I treat people means a lot to me. And I've seen some barbers who I thought the skill was shaky, but their personal, they're just them personally, and their customer service skills were great. And because of that, their chairs stayed packed. It was a revolving door. So if you take that patience and that consistency, and then you add professionalism and you add customer service, because anybody that is spending their money wants to be treated right. I don't want to go somewhere and spend money with a person and you treat me like shit. I don't care how good, whether it be a steak, a haircut, a hamburger, I don't care how good any of that shit tastes. Don't mistreat me, and I'm giving you my money because I work hard for it. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes now we're looking at social media and some of these guys, because also I come from an era in barbering where, and I remember for me, it was a tough transition, because when I cut hair at first, you got people with degrees and you're around and, I'm a barber. And people didn't respect it. Now, to say I'm a barber, I say it and I stick my chest out. what kind of how say it with your chest? We weren't always, this career field wasn't always at that point, right? So I think sometimes when some of these barbers get that consistency because they've been patient and they're good, and some of them are great at what they do skill-wise, now you start treating people any old kind of way. Now you got people that, people jump the chair, you come late and you don't care because I'm good at what I do. And I think it's important that we push to just the industry and the young people coming up, that it's cool to be skilled and be a great barber skill-wise, but to get to the next level, those additions in terms of being professional and providing that great customer service is extremely important. Would you guys agree?
1,000%. 1,000%. I think that's what makes Chick-fil-A so good, and that's what make McDonald's make you want to throw up. Customer service. You don't know what you're going to get from McDonald's to McDonald's, but you know with Chick-fil-A, it don't matter where you go across the country, you're going to get a consistent experience. They're going to be patient with you, and they're going to be customer service friendly. They're going to be customer service forward.
It's like McDonald's. Like McDonald's ice cream machine is always down.
Man, it ain't never going to work. Sometimes they ain't going to accept cash.
I'm out of razors, man. I know you want a razor line, but I'm out of razors.
I ain't got no razors, my boy. And my clippers ain't charged up. And honestly, we ain't even taking cash today. You got an EBT card or something? That's all we can take.
Wow. They don't went down. In our town is, in some aspects, we're kind of behind time. I didn't have Chick-fil-A for the first time until maybe a little over a year ago. That Chick-fil-A finally came here. I had never had it. And I heard about all the Chick-fil-A and how good. But Sal, you hit it over here. One thing I can say, every time that I go there, that I receive the best customer experience at Chick-fil-A than I do anywhere.
How was y'all Popeyes? I mean, I know they, man, one day I went to Popeyes, they didn't have no mouth, they didn't have no breast, they didn't have no chicken something. I just asked the lady, why in the hell is y'all open?
Right.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Here's the secret with Chick-fil-A. Here's the part that people, it's going to be an unpopular opinion. This is going to be our viral clip, right? Chick-fil-A ain't even that good, bro. I don't care what nobody say. That's average at best food, bro. It's the customer service that make you keep coming back. It's the expectation of experience that make you keep coming back. It's not the food. Popeyes tastes better than Chick-fil-A. I don't care what nobody say.
Absolutely.
I was like that. I'm like, what's all the fuss over?
Man, it's the what got so bad here?
I eat it. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't like. I'm like you. I don't think it's all that. But the personal experience every time I go, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm still a sucker for McDonald's French fries.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Their customer service. Man, about 2 years ago, man, I felt so bad because I cussed a little girl clean out. Like I had to catch myself, and I worked in school for a long time. But I looked at her and I told her I had to apologize because I'm like, this what if 10 years from now your ass still gonna be here. This is what you're gonna do for the rest of your life because you don't know how to treat people. You can't go work no place and treat people like this. I mean, just man, I lost it in front of my kids, everybody. I had to apologize to everybody in the car.
Yeah, so, man. But that's the experience though. So imagine now take that same dynamic, right, and place it in the barbershop.
Absolutely.
If you go inside of a barbershop and you don't know if your barber gonna be there, you don't know if their air gonna be working, you don't know what the atmosphere is gonna be. Sometimes you coming in and it smell like barbicide, sometimes you coming in and it smell like herb. Sometimes you coming in and it's packed out full of women and children. Sometimes you coming in and like it's a damn gang meet. Sometimes you go in there and the guy who chopping is available and he ain't really feeling like cutting hair. Sometimes he'll cut your hair. If that's your experience, you're going to start looking for Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely. 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 And I think I watch you guys and, you know, for me, just even reaching out to you, that was one of the big things. Not only how good you guys were at your or are at your craft. And I would have never known you were at the time, you know, that we became acquainted, that you were only, you know, 2-3 years into the game. But y'all, yeah, the personality skill, y'all just personable. You know what I mean? And that'll go such a long way. And I think everybody sitting here is humble, and we have that humble spirit. And I think, you know, that in and of itself will allow you to go far in life. So you take the skill set and the ambition, and that takes it to the whole other level.
Hey, that's something that we should have added to the consistency, the patience, and the customer services. Be humble, bro.
Yeah.
Be humble. It's a lot of barbers who drown themselves in their lack of humility.
Yeah.
Because they get customers in on Facebook or Instagram or in their reviews, oh, he the best in the world. It's the best barber in this city. It's the best barber in this state. Nobody better, and they buying to their own hype, man.
Right.
You the best barber for that client, but there is no such thing as the best barber. The best barber is the chair that's available.
Right.
That's the best barber. The chair that's available at the time. If I need a haircut and it's an interview that I need to go to and I need to get clean, and the barber who I prefer isn't available, the best barber is going to be the one who can get that haircut.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And if guys stop buying into their own hype, you will. I think that's how you will render longevity in this game, because the guys like Joe, they don't buy into their own hype, man. They out there doing what they have a passion to do, and they teaching the game to the youth and teaching the game to the guys coming up and teaching them how to respect the game of barbering. As long as you do that, man, you'll have longevity in this. As soon as you step outside of that and you get too Hollywood, or you get too full of yourself, or you just get too,
Right.
You'll start wavering off. You'll start to see them Saturdays lighten up, Fridays start getting light. You'll start having a lot longer time to take a break than what you thought you was gonna have.
Right. Yeah.
So this is the Come Away Out podcast. Everywhere where you can listen to your podcast, just put us in the search engine. We're joined by co-hosts. We've added co-hosts. Shada Barber out of Tennessee, AOS Spade out of Mississippi. Just a last couple quick fire questions before we get out of here. 4th of July, about a week and about 10 days away or something like that, roughly. So we talked about appointments and, you know, your journeys from, cutting all day. So as senior barbers, and I know in the South, especially, for you, AO, so will you still just take appointments, or will you open it up and do a 12, 13-hour day? What's your plans for making sure that the brothers get fresh for the 4th?
Man, I'm gonna say this in the most humbling way.
Hey, bro.
They better get in where they fit in, man. Cause when it's time to go, it's time to go. I done had my, I done had those times. Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I have times where I do that. I might appointment, schedules off. Let's keep it rolling. Let whoever come in get it, you know what I'm saying? But now, nah, man, I got young boys, man. So, when it's time to go, I ain't even thinking about, you know what I'm saying, just, because the money coming, you know what I'm saying? It's that time I'm trying to spend, you know what I'm saying? I can't get that back, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go, you know what I'm saying? I'm regular hours, you know what I'm saying? But, but I ain't gonna lie, I have to squeeze my family in sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So I might come home and do a little chopping, get some of the fam that might come out of town or something or anything like that. But outside of, being at the shop all day, Saturday, 4th of July is on a Monday this year, I'm not mistaken. Saturday.
So that's a dumb question. No Sunday, no.
Oh no. I have, but you know what I'm saying, it's gonna cost you some peace now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna cost me nothing. It's gonna cost you some peace though. Cause if I cut you on Sunday, man, you gonna have to persuade me.
Right.
Go ahead, Sean. What's your cutting plans for the brothers down there in Murfreesboro for the 4th?
Again, like Ayo said, as humbly as possible. You should have booked that appointment 2 weeks ago.
Oh, definitely.
There isn't an amount of money that nobody can offer me that's gonna buy me away from my family, bro.
Yes, sir.
This ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry, man. My daughter is excited. My wife is excited. I'm excited. I'm going to value that time with my family, man. I'm not gonna impede on that in any kind of way for no amount of buying off. So if you have your appointment, awesome. I can't wait to see you and spend that time with you when we in here. But after Saturday, I'm done, bro. I'm spending my time with my family.
Yo.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too. Yeah, and I don't want to get too. Politically. Of course, a lot's been going on in our country as we record this, but the 4th is the 4th. I know a lot of. With Juneteenth last week we talked about, and the 4th. A lot of the what we call them the militants. They but the 4th was always a big thing for me and my family, and we always used to go down to Greenville, Mississippi. So that's why I asked the question, because I just was reflecting back on, the 4th, my birthday, New Year's. That's a fresh fit, a fresh cut, and just really enjoyed them times. So, and I know your ass ain't gonna. Yes, for the sake of podcast, gone humbly say what you got to say.
As humbly as I can say it, like you said, if you ain't booked already, you ain't gonna find the time to get in. And that's one thing I envy you guys as younger barbers, because y'all come in at a time like all my kids are adults now, and I spent a lot of time, even though I might have been at home in the garage and in the barbershop. I spent a lot of time away from my kids trying to provide. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably the biggest part that I love, not even the money during this time, it's the flexibility, because you guys, your kids aren't gonna go without dad being there. You're able to create a day that allows you to get to your customers, your loyal customers, but also give that same loyalty and more to the people that you are responsible and obligated to take care of. And that's so important. Like you said, Shaq, no amount of money can change that. Because you can get the money back time and time again, but you cannot get the time that you spend with your loved ones back.
Not a second.
Get that. And
one more, and I, as I don't want to just tell y'all when we done. We be done whenever y'all say we done, and we can agree. But I think I really want to ask this question. And this could be the last one. It shouldn't take y'all very long to answer. But like you all said, consistency, humility. And what was the other one? Professionalism,
and
Patience.
So
customer service.
So what I wanted to ask out the door is, and y'all been humble. So the talent, even though you don't have to say the talent makes you a successful barber, we all know that you three have talent. So, when do you need to apply your talent, after the other attributes have been applied? Like, because as a customer, yes, talent has to come somewhere along the way.
Talent kind of, it's in between all those.
Yeah.
When I say in between all those, because you do anything long enough, you're gonna get good at it. Like if you do anything, if you wash cars long enough, you're gonna get good at it. You cut grass long enough, you're gonna get good at it. You know what I'm saying? You flip burgers long enough, you're gonna get good at it. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the height of your talent is gonna come from, like I said, like consistency. Cause you can be, it's just like hooping. Like you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't work on it, you're gonna stay right there. You're gonna stay where you at. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be as hard as you work. So if you can have the most talent in the world and you cut hair 2 times a week, you know, early in your career, not talking about after you got established, but when you know, because I know a lot of guys just around here that's cold. Like that's cold. They don't even, you know, they ain't never been to barber school. They don't cut in the shop, you know what I'm saying? They cut their hair, you know, other people that they know hair, you know what I'm saying? That's talent, you know what I'm saying? But you don't know how good that talent can be if you don't practice it, you don't sharpen it. You know what I'm saying? Like it can, like I said, you can have all the talent. If you're not sharpening it, then it's what is it, you know?
I agree with it. I feel like talent is all those attributes that we said you should have to get to that road of being a great barber. Talent is considered in all of those. Because in order to get better at something, you got to be patient with it. You got to work at it. You got to whittle away. Barbering is whittling. It's not going on a computer, Googling how to be a barber, watch a video, and then you're a good barber. No, you got to whittle away at it until you shape it into something that you can recognize as your improvement. And consistency, you got to be consistently in the school, consistently in the shop, consistently working on what it is that you want to improve. And as far as how that affects a client, as from a barber's perspective, don't worry about that. You should never, ever worry about that because it's a client for everybody at every level that they at. Whether you just starting or you've been cutting for 40 years, there's a client from the beginning to the end and everything in between. So the people who are coming to you when you first starting out, 9 times out of 10, they're price point shopping anyway. They looking for a cheap haircut to, you know, get their hair just better looking than what it is. So they're not expecting you to be the greatest talent. They're not expecting you to be Ace or the Osh or me. They're expecting you to be you at that price point. So use that to your advantage and cut and keep cutting for $10 and $15 and $20 to build up your repetition so that you can get on a better level. And then as you progress, as your talent progresses, your price point will progress, your clientele will progress, your ability to be a barber will progress. So it's always a factor. But without, even if you have the most talent in the world, if you take any of those other attributes and you remove it, your talent means nothing because you'll start to lose clients. Your chairs start to rotate a little slower because people are going to be, especially in this day and age where the cost of everything is going up. You got to give me more than just a haircut.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I believe everybody has a talent, and it's our jobs to tap into it. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is talent is only the foundation, right? If you don't tap into the talent and build off of the talent that God has given you, and don't put that work in and that skill development, talent is just that. You know, you see people, whether it be in basketball, no matter what it is, right? If you don't work on your skill, you're not going to go far in anything that you do. You can be as talented as you want to, but everybody has to brush up on the skills. So just, you know, consistency and doing something over and over again, being redundant with it is the key. And I agree, you know, 3,000% with both of you guys, because I truly believe everybody has talent. But what good is it to have talent and be lazy and never show up to the barbershop?
Yep.
It doesn't do no good. And then before you know it, you know, that guy who is there and willing to work every day has passed you up because they're willing to put that work in and do what they need to do to continue to get better.
And I'll tell you like this, I know guys out here that may not have the best talent in the sense of the cut, right? In sense of their finished product. But I can guarantee you those guys stay as busy as the barbers in this area who are immensely talented because they consistent at what they do. They consistent at where they are, and they know how to appeal to their clientele base. And one thing that I've also learned in barbering that I had to learn myself is you can compare your work to other barbers, but don't compare your worth to nobody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
cool.
Right.
Working title number 1 at the very end. Say that again. Yeah. That might be the working title for the first one.
You can compare your work to anybody. Don't compare your worth to nobody.
Well, they're gonna be a cashier for next week picture, boy. You know, I'm gonna add you in it when I say it too.
Hey, say less. Say less.
Because people don't understand. And what makes it so bad in that situation, it be people that be consistent in the smallest things. The smallest things, like being on time. You know what I'm saying? Being available. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Early bird get the word.
Hey, remembering them clients' names. I remember I used to cut in this shop with this dude, and this dude had all the clients of Murfreesboro, all the kids to the granddad, families would come to this dude. And he would his talent, his unique gift is he could remember everybody's name. Every single person came in that door, he could remember their name. And it blew my mind. It's like, dude, how in the hell do you remember all these people's names? But what I also noticed was as impressive it was to me, it was that much more impressive to them. Because when they came into that barbershop, though they may not have paid the light bills that month, they may not have helped him pay the rent, they didn't sweep, they didn't clean the toilet, they felt like it was as much of theirs as it was his. So when they came in that shop, with like they belonged in that shop. And he would cut hair. His haircuts were average at best, but his customer service and his ability to hone in on those small things made him, one of the most noticed barbers in this city. People know him. You say his name and they know him. You speak of his shop, they know it.
That's when they say stuff about you like, yeah, man, he gave my son his first haircut, man.
Yeah.
That was 15 years ago.
Yeah. You know people start saying stuff like, man, he been cutting my hair since I was a kid. And they in their 30s. And it's like, man, I didn't even know he been cutting hair that long.
Yep.
Something can stop you from being deceived. Something can stop you from being deceived.